Polyester has always been a problematic fabric to print in direct-to-garment, and because of that, and with polyester, I guess you could look at it and say polyester is one of the biggest growing segments just in apparel decorating anyways. I know a lot of my kids, they just prefer polyester shirts over cotton shirts. So what we tried to do here at RTP is create a product that's easy to use and solve a lot of the problems that direct-to-garment printers have faced in the past trying to print polyester. Now, one of the biggest issues is the issue of dye migration. That if you've ever printed anything, say on a red polyester, you know full well, one, don't wash it with anything else because it'll turn your underwear pink. And two, the ink on the shirt typically will turn pink also. That happens because of dye migration. At a certain point in temperature, the dyes in the shirt typically will begin to migrate or go from a solid into a gas, migrate up through that beautiful white layer of ink if you can get it on there, and turn your white ink pink. So the shirt looks blah, basically, and not presentable for sale. So what we've done with the Hero, and we've developed an entire process and made it easier for you, the end user, to be able to print red polyester without any dye migration and still get great results. So our first introduction on this is the Hero. It is the Hero style number 2000. It is a raglan sleeve type shirt, so it's more the athletic cut and feel. And it has what I call the bird's eye mesh. It's sort of a weave, a little more open, a little more airy. So it makes for a great athletic type shirt. We have plans for a lot of other styles and colors. Currently we have red, black, and white polyester. And people might be like, why would I want to do a white polyester with, an RTP? It's because it really increases the vibrancy, and we can show later why you want to pre-treat a polyester shirt. But that being said, we will get right into the thick of everything. And if we can, Dean, let's switch over to camera number 2 here. We'll actually show and we'll be printing this this morning, or this afternoon, I guess. And as you can see, the image in and of itself, the white is really, really white. It stays white. This has been heated significantly, cured either under heat press or conveyor dryer. And basically, we've tried to help you make this type of printing a lot easier. And it can be done without a special printer. You don't need to go spend a gazillion dollars on a DTG printer that only does polyester. And you don't need special inks. You don't need a lot of this stuff that sometimes you'll hear. And a lot of the problems, with polyesters has always been the dyes maybe haven't been that great. Maybe the shirts, you try to pre-treat a polyester shirt, they're notorious for leaving pre-treat boxes and stains where you can see where it's pre-treated and not treated. So with this, the unveiling of the Hero, we've actually removed all those issues for you. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to be completely easy because there is a different way you have to print the shirt. And we'll walk through this for you so that you can actually see it. That's why we have our heat press and our printer. We're going to print here for you. And I guess what we can do is we'll start a print, and then we'll go through the whole process again so we can show you how easy it actually is. So One of the key things that you need to do is make sure that your shirt is completely dry and moisture has been removed from the printing area. The reason for this is you can really tell when you're putting a wet ink on it for the white underbase. If there are uneven areas or moisture still remaining in the shirt, you'll be able to see that in the print. Now, in the long run, that may or may not be a super big issue, but we recommend fully pressing it or running it through the conveyor dryer to get all the moisture out of the printable area. You can do that with a heat press or a conveyor dryer, like I said before. Now, one of the things that's sort of unique with this, and we're working to continue to improve the product, obviously, because that's what we do. I would think we're almost more like a R&D company here, Dean, right, than anything else, just because we're doing stuff that nobody else in the entire world or apparel industry is able to do in direct-to-garment printing. So whenever you heat press it, it will get a little stiff, and you'll notice that it'll be stiff prior to washing. That is relatively or a result of the processes and what we've had to do to achieve this so that it doesn't dye migrate. But the results are phenomenal, and you can achieve actually great results like this. This one here has been washed, I believe, about 5 different times on this shirt here. And the whites are still incredibly white. It's super soft, and it's going to work out great for a lot of the printing that you need to do.
Brian, can you put that down on the close-up, because the blue messes with the background. There you go.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, there you go. You can see it a lot better. But the white is really, really, really white on this. And like I said, this has been washed 5 or 6 times. And basically, it looks really good. The shirt's really soft. And it, like I said, it is more of an athletic cut. The more everybody supports us, the more we're going to be able to introduce new styles and colors and all that fun stuff.
So Brian, if that was a regular polyester shirt, if it wasn't powered by RTP, what exactly would, like, all those whites would be pink?
Pink. It would definitely be pink. And you know what? I didn't even think about that, having a sample of that ready to show people. But we'll cover that again someplace else. But if anybody that's actually tried direct-to-garment printing, you know that that's going to happen. And what we'll do here is we'll just go ahead and begin a printing process just to show you, because this does take a little bit longer to print than a standard shirt. I don't believe we have any available right on hand, Dean. So I apologize to everybody for that. We had some stuff at the trade show to show people that, and we just now got the crate back because I think they decided to ship it to Alaska and Southern California and up to New England and maybe even Canada.
I guess the easiest way to describe a dye migration without having a visual right at hand at the moment is everything is extremely muted, and it becomes whatever color that you're printing on. The
Correct.
actual dye of the garment starts to migrate into the ink.
Correct. That's why your white would look pink. So we've already got this in here in the printer. It's ready to go. One thing that we do recommend is being able to use like a RIP program, such as CAD-Link. We do sell CAD-Link. We have some profiles set up for this that make the printing a lot easier. Again, like I said before, you can't just throw this on the printer and print like you would normally print, because it is a polyester and there are certain steps that you need to do. First, we need to remove all the moisture in the shirt. Second is the underbase needs to be a really light layer of white ink. And typically what we do in the CAD-Link is we print a solid white underbase under every color. Now, what that does is it gives a foundation for us to be able to layer the other colors and white ink layers on top of that. Depending on the the quality that you want to get and achieve with your final print, you can do multiple passes of the underbase, white layer underbase, and the more you do of that, the better it's going to look. In this case here, we're only going to be doing a 3-pass. Now, while that is going on, I'm going to throw another shirt on the heat press here. And with polyester, you need to be sure that if you press too hard, you're going to leave a dented impression that won't wash out, basically. So what we want to do is just heat press this with really light pressure, and we're going to press it probably 30 to 60 seconds just to remove any moisture in the fabric itself.
So when a customer receives their polyester order, this is what they would do prior to printing, correct?
Correct.
And we're just doing this so that any residual moisture that's in the garment itself is wicked away, correct?
Is removed. As you can see, that went down really, really easy. This is basically to the point where you really can't pull the paper out. Too much pressure is going to, again, like I said, imprint or leave an imprint image of the heat press where it clamps down. And it can also affect the surface of the actual print itself. So, that being said, we'll get the moisture out of this one, and we'll let this finish up printing here. I believe it's doing its final layer of white. There is some experimentation that you can do with this, and it will depend on your printer and setup. We've had people be able to do it with the Brother GTXs. You can see we're using the Epson here, Ricoh. The CAD-Link program in and of itself allows us to set those profiles basically for each of the printers. It'll rip it out beautifully and make it a lot easier. Now, if we were doing this, say, on the Epson here, what we would have to do is do it in 2 separate prints. The first print, I would let it do a real light underbase, and then I would stop it, the print midpoint, and cancel it, while the secondary, I would then reprint that same exact design with the white underbase again and the color. Yes.
And so you're talking if you're using the standard Epson garment creator. Yeah.
Yes. Now with like the CAD-Link, we're able to separate out and print multiple whites for the underbases, which works out really well. And the more that you can, there we go. The more that we can layer the white ink, it's sort of like building a really good foundation. Taking and building a real light layer and layer and layer and then color, or multiple layers of white, you can achieve a really, really beautiful looking print like we had over here on the table. Now, what I'm doing is I'm checking the shirt. A lot of times I've sort of developed a feel for this. Right after it lifts up, you can sort of really tell if there's a lot of moisture left in the shirt because you can feel it's still evaporating off or whatever. Sometimes you'll need to repress it, but in this case, basically this one will be ready to go, and this shirt is going to be finished printing here. And we'll run another one that has the best pass on it, which will be like multiple layers of white. And that being said, so if anybody has any questions during this whole process, please use the comment section or whatever. Ask us some questions, and we can get down to business.
Hey, Brian, we do have one question.
Yes.
Time and temp for pre-press.
Time and temp for pre-press. Basically, you can use the same temperature that you're going to cure your ink at. One thing that we have noted with this is, with a heat press, a lot of times it's time, temperature, pressure. And when we're pressing really, really light, we're reducing the effectiveness transfer of the heat from the platen surface into the garment itself and the ink. So typically you're probably going to have to go a little longer on the ink cure. As far as the pre-press, I'm doing about 340, and it could be anywhere from 30 seconds to 60 seconds. You just want that entire shirt layer to be dry prior to printing. And as you can see here, it looks like I had a little burp in my my rip. Printed an extra line there for us that we didn't want at the bottom of the shirt, but you can see effectively it's beautiful, it's white. Now what I'm going to do here is we're going to press this for 340 at 340 degrees Fahrenheit for 120 seconds, 2 minutes. So we'll load this up. And typically, if anybody has ever done this,
Hey, Bri, can we put that down in front of the close-up real quick?
Yep.
So yeah, just ignore
the lines if you can see them here. I think I had a little burp in my artwork that I didn't catch earlier, but it really is white. It looks good. The coverage is good, and this was on what I call our better setting. You know, we'll have like good, better, and best, and the best setting ends up being like an incredible white on it. It looks awesome. But the longer, the more white you have with the less pressure and all that, it will take longer than pressing your inks on a standard time frame. Typically, it seems like we have to go anywhere from, let's say your cure time is, just as an example, 1 minute for a standard white shirt with a heat press. You know, we might need to go 2 minutes to a little longer, just because we're using a lot less pressure, and that reduces the effective transfer of the heat to actually cure the ink. Yes.
Also, a relative question is tunnel curing still capable, and results are
Phenomenal. I actually kind of prefer the tunnel conveyor dryer. It does take longer typically than a heat press in the tunnel. The only real issue that I've seen with the tunnel drying is it really dries out the entire shirt and will make it much more stiff. And that being said, it takes a little bit of getting used to, as we load up another shirt here, takes a little bit more getting used to, just because the shirt is a little stiffer. But again, if you're using a heat press, you're localizing the heat and the pressure, so it's just the main area that you've been pressing that'll typically get stiff. Now, as the shirts sit out, they will tend to get a little stiffer. Prior to printing, just throw it on the heat press, that'll loosen it up a little bit, and then you can put it back on your press to get it flat and everything before printing.
So we just had a question reiterating that it's light pressure for the final cure.
Yes. I mean, well, you could use heavier pressure. The problem is you're really going to indent the shirt, and you'll see that press mark, especially even after washing. Now, I'm going to take a second and step off screen to get another one printing here.
So while Brian's loading up that other artwork there, I'll just switch to our close-up here. And you can kind of see here, you know, it is a bird's eye type of mesh raglan on the RTP 2000. But getting this type of white on a red polyester, I feel pretty safe to say that it hasn't ever been done elsewhere or before. Or if anybody has done it, they really rack their brains around trying to figure it out.
Yes, the biggest thing, people are like, oh yeah, you can easily do polyester, red polyester, not a problem. Here's how you have to do it. And what they end up saying, what they end up doing and saying, can you do it? Yeah, sure, technically. The downside to that is you're under curing the inks, and that's the only way really on most, pretty much 99.9999% of polyester shirts, you're going to get away from the dye migration. The dyes will start to migrate at a certain temperature, so they suggest curing your ink that you've just printed at a temperature below that point, and they'll be like either like maybe a 280 or 285 or 275. But the inks, technically, most of the inks on the market have a cure temperature that is higher than 300. So what you're sacrificing is wash durability and longevity of the print. And a lot of times, even after just one wash or two washes, it'll start to fall apart. Yes, Dean.
Speaking of inks, is this any sort of special ink set, or what are we running in the Epson right now as far as inks go?
No, you can use any OEM ink. You don't have to buy special inks. You don't need a special printer. There was a really nice printer at the Printing United show that was able to do polyester printing. The downside to that one printer, and I'm not going to say who or what, I believe it was $800,000. You can do this if you had a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 desktop DTG printer, an Epson, a Brother, a Ricoh, any of the direct-to-garment printers pretty much that are out there on the market. You can do that right now today with this. And this is the shirt that we just printed again. The white it's white. That was at 340 degrees for 120 seconds. So it prints and it works, it stays white, and we didn't do any voodoo magic or anything like that with this. A lot of people ask us how we're doing it, if we're using certain this or that or inks, and it's like, no, we've figured out how to do it from the ground up with proprietary stuff that's patent pending. And that's the beautiful portion of this, because you can print on the inside and the outside of this at the same time. Tearaway tags, you can print your tag right here and the front of the shirt at the same time. So we're the only ones in the world that are doing this right now. And I know everybody else is going to be scrambling to catch up. They're trying to figure out how we're doing it. If they want to, they can talk to me and write a check for about $50 million. Then we can talk. Outside of that.
That's it? Just
it
a cool 50 mil?
might be $100 million, but there are residuals left in there.
Hey,
joking aside, we do have big plans for this because, again, nobody else in the world is able to do what we're doing specifically, because the process of direct-to-garment printing and being a water-based ink on a fabric that is prone to dye migration always causes an issue. Yes.
So I know we've been kind of hammering on direct-to-garment or DTG, but this product also lends itself for screen printing as well, correct?
Correct. We actually did do a test at Printing United on a heat press or a screen printing press using just regular inks, and it came out great. In screen printing, you're using inks that have a lot of dye blockers, they're thicker or whatever, that they're able to put a lot of stuff in it to make that ink film resistant to the migration of the dyes of the polyester. We were able to utilize this and screen print on it and run run it through the conveyor dryer, and it came out white as white could be, looked great. So yeah, it's sort of like a dual purpose shirt. If you don't want to use crazy inks for printing polyester, because that was always the biggest thing when I was screen printing, Dean. I hated polyester because the dye migration, just the issues associated with that.
Yeah, I mean, I had screen printed quite a bit as well, and I actually loved screen printing on polyester, but I hated that I had to use a whole nother ink set. The only reason why I loved printing on polyester because it was really smooth. You got a beautiful print.
Yes.
But yes, and then I also had, I remember a job it was like a $3,000 job, and I had to do these work shirts. They were polyester, and they all bled. And my white ink, it was just white on black poly work shirts, and every single one of them turned out like this nasty milky gray, and it was a disaster. Brian, we do have
We dumped a little too much ink on.
Whoops.
I guess we could cut that back because that is a lot of ink on that shirt.
Well, do have a question here
Yep.
on the dry time in between passes. So you're essentially with polyester, you want to do layers of light and build
Lightweight.
up.
Um, Basically, what we've been seeing is because it's a lighter layer of white, is there really doesn't need to be a whole lot of dry time. That can be changed in the RIP or say like Garment Creator. You can put a little bit of time in there. If it's a really short graphic that prints really fast, you may need to put in that delay just to give it a little bit of a time to gel up. Outside of that, with what we were doing like on this one, there really was no delay. I think I put a 5-second delay on the last layer of white before it hit colors, and go from there. But if anybody has questions, we can definitely do some more questions and maybe even get another shirt ready here to print.
So what again are the colors that we're offering current? And these are currently available, correct?
These are available in limited quantities right now. We're expecting mid-December for our first full container. We do have white available for awesome printing that'll give really bright and sharp, vibrant prints, and also black shirts. So that is the main staple: white, black, and red. Red being the most problematic, I would say, out of these three, then black. White typically would be the easiest, and we can actually showcase why the. I just used this yesterday. I'll pull this over here while I get another shirt out. We'll
Now-
switch over to.
And it is possible to print on polyester currently using our regular Image Armor pretreatments.
Correct.
There again, with that, there is a process, and we have multiple videos on that and information that if you need it, please reach out to us. We're happy to send it to you and educate you. But the Hero 2000 RTP Hero 2000 just makes the entire process so much easier, and it actually gives you better results than trying to pre-treat it yourself.
Correct. If we switch over to the camera, we can see why you really want to pre-treat. Hopefully we can see it on the press. What we're going to point out is the untreated side versus the pre-treated side. And I can't tell on the monitor if you can see that or not very well. But the blacks are going to be a lot blacker. The whites are going to be a lot whiter, white's going to be whiter. The colors are going to be more vibrant. The image is going to be crisper. And the detail is just going to really look good, so that you can see what, the big difference, like that shirt right there is showing. And we're open for questions, I guess, at this point. We'll end up printing another shirt here. To be honest with you, I had technical difficulties. I dumped way too much white ink on that last shirt. I was like,
I saw it.
wow. I'm like on, great. Nothing can ever go wrong during a live presentation. So that was just way too much white ink for that print. But you know what? This next one, what we can do maybe is I might do the flight test one. I'll step off screen real quick if you want to chit chat a little bit with everybody. It'll take me a second here. Oh, I was gonna say,
No, so as Brian was saying, I'm just gonna highlight this reasons why you would want to, because this works not only on polyester, but this kind of speaks the case for pre-treating in general, especially on lighter white garments. I'll do my best here to be able to see this, but it's blatantly obvious here on this close-up as to what the difference in pre-treating makes, especially on a white or light garment. But printing currently DTG on polyester, yes, it's entirely possible.
alright. This one is a little bigger. It's a little different. So we'll
So, as Brian had mentioned, the Hero 2000 is available in limited quantities, available now on the shop.rtp.com website, which, if you are currently a registered on and you are watching the webinar, learning some things, you are entitled to a free Hero shirt.
With your next order.
With the next order, yes, that's the only stipulation. So, I will be able to manage that, not a problem, because
Keeping track of everything.
Yes,
that's
via
the
on
webinar here.
Exactly.
And you had to watch this webinar live to be able to get this promotion. So anybody watching this after the fact, after today, which is November 17th?
17th, yeah. Sorry.
At 2 o'clock here, you cannot get your free shirt just by placing an order. It's only everybody that watched us live. So we will put our shirt here back on our printer. We'll get another one printing. This is what we call our bright skull print.
So we do have a question about some rip questions, because that is part of the equation here, is you have to set up your rip a certain way. As Brian had mentioned, the only real requirements for this particular garment, printing requirements, is to make sure that it's very dry. You don't want the moisture in the garment, and to layer your underbase, or to layer your white. Brian, we do have a question in regards to setting up a rip profile for Cathari. Do we have anything set up yet?
That we do not, but we can tell people basically how to do that. It's not real difficult. Again, there is some experimentation that needs to be done. The first layer needs to be a really, really light layer of white to give a foundation. Then you can layer multiple whites on top of that, depending on the finished look that you want for the shirt as far as the white is concerned. And after that, once you have that set up, it really isn't that big of a problem. With the CAD link and what we're doing and setting those profiles up, if you already have CAD link, we can give you a good foundation and base start for a cue for that. I believe we're able to just send out cues, or we can at least show people how to set it up in their own rip itself.
Brian, you do have an example of the instructions that come with this particular garment. It's sitting on top of the printer. Oh, there they are. So
Actually, I had 2 of them.
So whenever so anyone that gets their free tee will receive this paper as well. It's available to download on the website. Oh, you print?
I printed the black. I printed the whole black shirt.
Well, trying to do stuff live, and it is what it is.
It's a beautiful white box on the shirt, I can tell you that.
On a red poly,
which
yeah.
is not what we wanted. So you keep talking. I'll pull up the right artwork again.
All right. To answer Marilyn's question, you're right down the road from us. Yes, please stop on by and come visit us. We, first and foremost, love to educate. Brian's been in the industry since '86. I was 1 year old. if that puts any age on you there, Brian. But and as he had mentioned earlier, we do a ton of R&D here. We are in our R&D lab soon to make this strictly R&D, because we have a new studio on the other side of the wall there. But we nerd out, myself included. I know Brian nerds out on figuring out how to do it, how to make it happen, what steps to take to make this a reality, come up with the idea and make it, make it succeed.
That's what a lot of people don't really realize.
So stop on by though, Marilyn.
What a lot of people don't realize about what we do here, it is a lot of R&D. If you actually saw the state of this room at times, my wife hates me from that aspect, just because I'm throwing shirts everywhere and doing all this stuff. And it's just in a quest to make DTG printing that much better.
Brian, do you happen to know if what we currently have available? I didn't get a chance to check the store, but someone is claiming that we don't have white on the site yet.
Don't have a what?
White on the site yet?
White is not available at this point in time. We're waiting for those to come in. We'd only got in limited availability for the Printing United show, and that's what we have on hand here right now. But I believe middle of December, around December 18th or right before Christmas, we will have plenty of stock in for white, black, and red.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm trying to kill some dead air there, but I was replying. Well, there's a bunch of questions in here. I was typing some back as well because.
Shoot away, fire away while we do this live. We'll see if we can screw up another show because I'm such a professional at printing. I have to laugh. I mean, I do this all the time, but I don't do it in a production setting. And so if I'm a little rough or unpolished in the way I'm doing everything, this is normal for me. It's like a chaos hurricane when I do printing in R&D because it's like, oh, that shirt didn't work, and I get piles of stuff, and my wife comes in and it's like, oh my God, what happened here?
Just when you do R&D, it's chaos, huh?
No, my whole life is that way. If you saw my desk in my office, it's the same way. It's like I walked in there the other day and I went,
well,
wow, I need to start someplace and just clean.
You got a couple businesses going on, right?
Yeah. Well, this is heat pressing. We can actually, let's zoom in on this shirt here. I think this is pretty awesome. This is with our Platinum. If anybody had joined us a couple of weeks ago, when was that? That was in September, August. We did the launch of Platinum, our Platinum Pretreat. This right here is on a next level tri-blend, and it is super smooth, beautiful, looks awesome, still super soft. This one has not been washed, but it is incredible. Sort of did the same thing with this one here. This is a 50/50, and I think you'd even mentioned yesterday when you saw it was like, holy mackerel.
Yeah, so that's what the new Platinum. So if anybody doesn't know, I think this information is kind of known, but RTP is powered by Image Armor in some aspect. It's not the same Image Armor that you can get as an end user, because we do have to formulate it slightly differently based on our production process for the garments. But everything that's in RTP right now is based off of some version of Ultra.
And our proprietary technology that's patent pending.
Exactly, and the proprietary production technology. But we're hoping in the future we can sort of migrate everything over to Platinum. Is that true, Brian?
Well, it's a little more complicated than that. The way that we do everything, the chemicals, the process, it's a completely different beast than just doing, as it yells at me again, different beast than what we would take our regular Platinum or regular pre-treatment and just pre-treat a regular shirt. So it is a completely different beast, different process, different chemical setup, because you can't just, everybody thinks, oh, I can just throw pre-treat on a shirt and I'll have a pre-treated shirt. You know, we've been working on this since 2014, launched in 2016. You know, if you actually think about it, we've been working on this for 8 years, and we keep evolving and making it better, which, again, is why we're the first to be able to do a red polyester shirt and have it not dye migrate.
Well, I guess another way I could put it is we had a previous version of our formulation, pretreatment formulation, built into the current RTP apparel garments. Now, as we keep, making products better, that will also trickle down into the production of RTP as well, so that they will.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's as we continue to improve this, we're able to improve and figure out what we need to do for the setup and the process and everything associated with doing and manufacturing fully pre-treated garments. Again, everybody thinks, oh, you just throw it in a washing machine and it comes out great, and it's like, not really. It's a lot more complicated than that. Again, as we've stated before, our goal is to make it so that you don't ever really have to pre-treat again. The RTP apparel is sort of designed for that, but we know that you are always going to have to pre-treat because everybody's going to want a certain shirt that we don't have. You know, we've run into that even
I like to
right
say
now.
yet.
It's like, well, you don't have, you know, light fuchsia in your short sleeve shirt, and it's like, no, because that's like 0.01% of the total number of shirts sold in the entire world. You know, so there's always going to be a need for pre-treating for the foreseeable future as far as direct-to-garment's concerned. And our goal is to make it a lot easier and better and more profitable for people. And so I guess that's the good thing.
So I have two pretty important questions I want to hit upon here. Number one is the RIP program that we're using that we set up. It's called CADLink, by the way.
Yep.
Someone wanted to know if that RIP program is better than the current Epson Garment Creator.
Oh my gosh. Leaps and bounds. Think of it as sort of like when you, I don't know, maybe you start off fishing and you get the little kiddie fishing pole and it's like, okay, this is nice, versus a professional fishing pole. Or you start off with a tricycle bike and then you move up to a BMX bike. There's a world of difference. The standard RIPs or standard print programs that are used and come with your printer do a great job. However, they don't give you the control that you need to be able to effectively really make these printers do what they do best. And you can really see that a lot with shades and fading and, say, smoke effects, or in this case, being able to print a polyester shirt, because we need to do that process slightly differently. And we're able to effectively tell the printer, do this, 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 this. That you could have it do 10 different steps if you wanted to on a print itself. So you're able to control the dots, you're able to control resolution, you're able to control a lot of things that you can't do with a regular RIP. Now, the RIPs that come like the Epson Garment Creator, like I said, great program for a majority of the population that just want to press a button and go, but you're limiting yourself to what you can do. Now, if you're just doing, you know, regular stuff like this, that's just a, you know, block print, you know, standard non-halftone, non-faded, non-gray, you know, grayscales on a black shirt, stuff like that, yeah, it'll work great. But the potential of it as you get your business and build your business up and you get better at printing and you want to improve your prints, I highly recommend that. Like I said, you can still do the polyester shirts here without that RIP. You just have to do several processes, you know, basically send 2 prints and cut one off in the beginning. And
well, the OEM factory RIPs are inherently user-friendly.
Very.
So they strip them down so that it makes it really simple for you to say, hey, here's my image. I want to do a slight little tweak, maybe bump the vibrance or something, and press print. So, yeah. And then, like, getting a non-OEM or an aftermarket third-party type of RIP, it just opens up the door. It's like you were describing it with fishing. I would like to think of it as like, say I bought a car, right?
Yeah.
It gets me from point A to point B, but I want to get there faster, so I'm going to slap a turbo on it and really get there.
Tell he's not a car guy.
Yeah, just a little bit.
But yeah, but it's true. I mean, it will work. It's just you don't have the control. And these printers are really capable of so much more than what people realize, and they think they're getting maybe great results right now, and they probably are. But being able to take that to the next level, it's unbelievable what you can do. And we might have to do that as another webinar type thing, just to show the difference between, you know, standard RIP and something that's ripped and just, you know, full on, wow, you can go, well, it's a huge difference.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea. I think that we should do that maybe for our next one or one coming up, because we now have licensed. Hey, it's working.
Hey,
you did the right one.
Correctly.
Sometimes
the guy that
things
doesn't
go.
print actually did something okay and correct.
We are now licensed to distribute CADLink, which is what we are using here to set up our files for polyester printing, that looks awesome.
Yeah,
We'll get
cool.
a close up on that here.
And what we'll do then is we'll go and throw this under the heat press so we can actually see the white does stay white.
So Brian, do you know, would that start to dye migrate like right away, or does it take time, or when does that type of thing happen if it's an issue, if it wasn't this garment?
It can. Typically, you will see it immediately under the heat, but it can happen over a period of days also. The sublimation process or migration process can take a lot of times, and I know there have been cases where people have screen printed and the shirt looks great going into the box. It's still hot, it's in a box, it's in there for a week, it goes to the customer, they open the box and they're all pink. So it can take time. Most of the time though, with what we would be seeing in this industry with direct-to-garment printing and with water-based inks is we'll see it pretty much more immediately, just because we're applying that much heat directly right to it, and it's not. I guess you could just say we'll see most of it almost immediately. Again, the one shirt here that we have. Not that one. Not this one. Where's my one that's been washed here? This is probably month and a half, 2 months old now, month and a half, give or take.
And that view always kind of looks weird because of the blue.
Oh, I keep forgetting about that.
Sorry,
it's a blue screen back here. It's a big ocean for me, but it looks great on the video thing.
But anytime we have stuff that's blue, you can kind of see it actually on the printer as well, because there's a blue bar, but it actually picks up our background. So.
But yeah, this has been around for a while, and this has been washed multiple times, and the white's still white. So we're coming down to the last 15 seconds here on the heat press, 340 degrees. Actually 338 because of the transfer of heat. It's trying to maintain 340. And we'll pull this off and the white will be white. And it just goes to show the power of what the research and development team here at Image Armor, RTP, and iGroup Apparel have been able to achieve. And again, can't get too close because of the light, but it looks really, really well.
You can throw that up on the close-up again. There you go.
Oh, close up here.
Yep.
Boom.
Yeah, and that's with the added heat. So that was what temperature and time again?
340 for 2 minutes. And I have literally run these things through the conveyor dryer for 8-9 minutes. I know the shirt, I've actually intentionally scorched the shirt to the point where the polyester is, you can't use the shirt anymore, and the white still is white. And if anybody knows anything about dye migration and experience that, 8-9 minutes in a tunnel dryer at 400 plus degrees is going to destroy just about anything. And the white on that fabric at that point was still white. So
that is beautiful stuff. Well, we got about 9 minutes left here of our allotted hour for this particular webinar. If anybody has any questions about anything, even outside of the hero, anything direct-to-garment related, go ahead and fire it. One thing I did want to ask you, Brian, is what inks are we running in that our R&D Epson right there?
We are running, and you can use any OEM ink. We are technically using our Image Armor inks, our F-Series inks. And should we say anything about what we're doing here?
You might as well. It's going to go live on Monday.
It's going live on Monday.
Whoever's sticking around here gets to hear it first.
Exactly. So we're just going to blow the top right here. So anybody that has an Epson printer, we will send you a full set of inks free. You just pay the shipping, $25. You have to buy the OEM cleaning carts to flush out your printer, and we'll send 2 whites and 1 each CMYK, and their remanufactured carts are great. It costs you $0 to $780.
$870.
$870. Sorry, I'm dyslexic, actually. That's why my room's a complete mess, but I still get stuff done.
Now,
But it's $870 value we're going to give to you for free. You pay the shipping, you buy the cleaning carts and flush it out. This particular printer here, I've been running our inks in it for the last 3 years with 0 issues, and it's a big cost savings. We have a couple of distributors that carry it, and it really does. If you're not using our inks, it is definitely something to check out, because I believe we are a typical retail cartridge is $200+ and ours varies very. It depends on the distributor what they charge, but I believe it's about $130, give or take. So it's a big savings. It's like 50, almost 50%, I believe.
our MSRP on the F series is
30%.
$145.
The MSRP.
Yeah.
But I know that you can get it a little less expensive. So that's what out of 200, 40, 60, it's about a 30% savings, give or take. My math was off, trying to do it on the fly.
Yeah.
So-
And again, that official announcement is actually coming out on
That's
Monday.
coming out Monday.
So
Correct.
anybody
So
here, woohoo!
everybody's hearing it. You are the first to hear it,
well,
a little bit ahead of schedule.
That popped up quite a few questions.
Uh-oh.
So is it just on the Epson, and a bunch of people chiming in saying, I have Ricoh. Are you guys going to have Ricoh ink?
I can neither confirm nor deny anything about that. at
Okay,
this
so
point.
it is just on the Epson.
It is just
for
currently
the
on
switchover.
the Epson. So yes, correct. That is, we're only doing it for the Epson. We're going to see how that goes, but we believe in it so much that we're going. Come on, where are you going to get 800? Where are you going to get a complete set of inks for free to try them out in your printer? And like I said, we have a lot of people that use it. This is all we run in this printer unless we have to do special testing and we have to put the OEM back in. And
Well, I know a lot of people get hung up on the warranty avoidance. So the Epson F2100 kind of is, at this stage in the game, somewhat of an older machine. So
it is. There's a lot of new ones that are out there, and we have people that switch over immediately. We have people that want to wait until they're at the end of their warranty, and that's fine. You know, we're just trying to help people achieve better prints and at a lower cost so you can be more profitable. And that's sort of our whole goal is, as a third-party provider and innovator in this industry, is to make it better, make it less expensive so you can be more profitable, so you can grow your business, so you can buy more shirts, RTP shirts, and buy more ink. It has to be a win-win-win for your customers, for you, and for us. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And that's why it seems crazy that we're giving out free ink, but it actually, we know long-term, it's going to benefit you and your customers, which is why we're doing it. Otherwise, I must be an idiot for giving away tens of thousands of dollars worth of ink.
Well, to me, it just sounds like you're very confident in the product that you're selling.
Absolutely.
And you know, we are extremely truthful and almost too hurtful.
To a fault.
Yeah, to a fault. That's perfect. So when I had my print shop, I used Image Armor ink, and it was early on. It was when I think you just started developing ink and stuff.
Correct.
And was it perfect? Not necessarily, but the savings were amazing, and I was there along the way as the R&D kept going, as you refined things, as you made it better, and eventually it was primo. I was having a huge savings and getting phenomenal fiber prints.
And we've sort of tried to lead that here in the DTG industry. You know, in the old days, it was Roman Haas and only DuPont, and Roman Haas isn't around anymore. DuPont is still around. It's still a good product. Obviously, we think ours is a heck of a lot better, which is why we make it and sell it. And we do a lot of the R&D and stuff, and we're trying to propel that forward. And, you know, it's fun. This is why I live and breathe. I get up. I enjoy this. Being able to achieve this on a red polyester shirt with 0 dye migration, again, another world first basically with this setup without undercuring your inks, because people are going to be like, oh, you're not the first to do it in the world. No, we were doing this back in 2015 to a certain extent, but not on reds or some of these other colors. And we didn't do it by undercuring. We're still curing the inks at 340 degrees for longer than probably what you need to, because again, if you're running it through a heat press, you need to go a little longer because of the transference of the heat to be able to cure the ink correctly. So that is one thing to keep in mind when you do this polyester printing. Excuse me.
So we got just a couple minutes left here before we're going to make the announcement again about how to get your free shirt or how that all works. But there is a very good question that just came in. Can the Image Armor ink be used for DTF?
It can. We have done it. DTF, technically, if you want to get really technical, those are typically run through other printers with maybe a higher resolution. The inks are slightly different in DTF. There's a lot of, we're working on some stuff specifically for DTF, which we'll be bringing out. But yes, you can typically, I will say this, you can typically use almost any DTG printer ink, your Epson, your Brother, or whatever, to do direct to film. You need to find the correct film that'll mate up with your ink. That is a big factor. And be ready to do a lot of experimentation. We're working on a complete set to be able to offer films and dedicated inks if need be, but films with our inks specifically that work, because there's a lot of moving parts, I guess you could say, in DTF. And it's like everybody has a different piece of the puzzle, and the puzzle shapes don't necessarily always fit together and work correctly. So we're working to make that a little bit easier and better for the end users. But yes, we actually have, and that's the beautiful thing with the CAD link, is we can actually do some DTF and get better prints out of it. You don't want to use just your regular stuff. I guess we could actually, this is one that's kind of a little bit hard to show here, but you know, I just did this one yesterday.
Well, I just wanted to give an example of that. We are kind of working about, we're dabbling in the DTF field.
Oh yeah, dabbling.
Okay.
If people actually understood everything we did, it's like, I have to tell that. People always think, oh, it's just a small company, you can't compete against DuPont, and it's like, yeah, we can, because we're able to move faster, we're a lot more nimble, and we can otherwise explain why we're the only ones in the world doing 100% red polyester with any direct-to-garment printer with any ink set, basically. You know, so
it's a mystery.
yeah, we did. It's, you know, those little guys from Ohio figured it out.
So we round out an hour here. I just want to thank everybody for watching. One last question, and then we'll hit home again on how the free shirt thing will work. But somebody had asked, I was early to the polyester shirts about 2 years ago when they were first posted. How are these ones different?
2 years ago, that it tells you exactly how long we've been working on this. Our initial prototypes and everything were way different than what we have today. We still had some dye migration issues with those at that point in time, and we were able to refine everything, improve our chemistry, improve our production procedures, and everything that goes along with it. And yeah, I was hoping to have this out 2 years ago, because I remember we talked about it at, or a couple years ago at the SGIA, when it was still SGIA, I believe. And so yeah, it's been a long road. It just goes to show you how long we've actually been working on this. It's not like we just brought something out, you know, last month. This has been a long 34-year process of figuring out the apparel decorating industry, and having been in direct-to-garment and working on RTP since about 2014-15. The last roughly 8-9 years, we've learned a lot, we've grown a lot, and we're excited to be able to keep expanding that because we have a lot of great stuff in store. It's just a matter of as everybody supports us, we're able to keep growing, and I want to prove to all of the rest of the industry that what we have, we are a contender to be reckoned with, and we're going to continue proving that with products like this. But we do want to thank everybody for attending the webinar today, and I can't believe it's been an hour already. It's like, for me anyways.
Time
for you
flies
guys,
when you're
maybe
having
not.
fun.
You have to look at me. But we do appreciate you attending these webinars, finding out what we're doing. Again, as we said, anybody that's watched the webinar live, we have a record of that. And when you go to place your next RTP order, you can put in the notes section also, hey, I watched the webinar. Can I get my free polyester shirt? And we'll be able to match up. Make sure that if the email address you used here matches up to your RTP account. If not, just include your name and everything, and we'll try to keep an eye out for that so that we can make it happen.
Yeah, so there's a couple dozen of us here that have watched. You guys will all be receiving an email from me, and I will have a promo code that you can put in your notes when you place your next RTP order.
And that'll flag for our crack shipping staff.
Yeah, back in shipping, we'll work together and make sure that everybody that was here and took their time will receive their shirt.
And since it is that season and it's getting colder out, except for everybody that lives where it's nice and warm, God bless you, because God bless everybody in Buffalo if you're watching. 3 to 6 feet of snow this weekend, starting today, I think. Wish I was there. But we do have our long sleeve shirts fully ready to print anywhere on the shirt. It's that time of year. We do have those in stock, black long sleeves. You can get them, order them, and they're on sale right now. Actually, everything is on sale at this point in time going through the holiday season, because we want to help you be more profitable and produce more shirts faster with your direct-to-garment printer.
Wait, is Poly on sale too?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Poly
so
is
everything
not on sale.
except
We
for
have
Poly.
limited quantity of that right now. But you never know down the road, we're working through all this, but we will be getting the mass inflection of polyester shirts, and they are more of an athletic cut, so they are a little bit bigger than the standard shirt. So just to give everybody the heads up on that. But we appreciate everybody coming, stopping by, and taking your time and out of the day to watch this, I guess, world premiere. And we appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you again at another webinar really soon.
And as always, if you guys have any questions, have any ideas for future webinars, or just want to talk about direct-to-garment, want to talk about the industry, please reach out to us. We love hearing from all of our customers and anybody that we can help educate and make their journey in the direct-to-garment business a little bit easier. Myself, Dean, as well as Brian, are industry vets, I guess you could say. We both come from a printing background, and now we are dedicated and headstrong on making that journey a lot easier for everybody else that's out there in it as well. So thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for a future webinar.